Hello, it's Don again from the Way to Native Chronicles. This video is intended for those who are contemplating taking the Canadian Proof of Proficiency test, as well as those who are simply interested in what I consider to be the safest and most effective way to deploy a high-powered handgun for self-protection in the wilderness. Before we begin the step-by-step demonstration, I want to make a few important points. The technique I'm about to demonstrate should be practiced before attempting the test. The examiner will be watching very closely for any unsafe handling, and even a brief lapse in muzzle control, trigger finger discipline, or a reholstering procedure could result in immediate disqualification. The method shown here uses a single action technique, meaning that the hammer is manually cocked before each shot. For many shooters, this can provide a lighter trigger pull and better practical accuracy. You'll also notice that I use a balanced athletic stance rather than the Weaver stance favored by many handgun shooters. The Weaver stance turns the body partly sideways, presenting a thinner target to someone who may be shooting back at you. That can make sense in a defensive encounter involving another person, but it offers no real advantage when facing an attacking animal. For wilderness protection, remaining mobile is more important. Turning sideways in a traditional Weaver stance can compromise the shooter's ability to move or dodge quickly. The more open athletic stance, think of a tennis player at the line anticipating his opponent's serve, helps preserve the ability to step sharply to either side as a last resort. I also lean slightly forward with my knees slightly bent so my body is better positioned to absorb the recoil of the .44 Magnum and recover for accurate follow-up shots. Unlike a lower-powered handgun, a .44 Magnum can produce enough recoil to rock the shooter backward. If that happens, the shooter may have to reestablish his footing before taking the next shot. Leaning slightly forward and keeping the knees flexed helps absorb the recoil, reduces the tendency to be pushed backward, and preserves a stable shooting stance for the next shot. There is, however, an important danger associated with using the single action method. Suppose you have cocked the hammer in preparation for another shot, but then decide that the shot is no longer necessary. It is possible, especially under stress, to forget that the revolver is still cocked and begin putting it back into the holster. That would be extremely dangerous. For that reason, develop the habit of always looking at the revolver and confirming its uncocked state before reholstering. Do not rely only on memory or instinct. Firing double action is also a perfectly valid technique, particularly with a revolver that has a smooth action. It may be somewhat more difficult to shoot as accurately, but it avoids the danger of unintentionally attempting to reholster a cocked revolver. The most important thing is not simply speed, it's being safe, deliberate, and consistent every time you draw, fire, and return the handgun to the holster. With that in mind, let's now go through the procedure one step at a time. The gun being used is a Smith & Wesson Model 629 with a 4¼ inch barrel and full house loads.
All right, is the shooter ready?
You bet.
Stand by.
looked at the standing technique, there's another position to consider that may be better under certain circumstances. That position is kneeling, which is also included as a part of the Alberta Proof of Proficiency test. Imagine an animal that is lower than you, running towards you in a straight line. When you're standing, you must aim downward at an increasingly steep angle as the animal gets closer. The sight picture can change quickly, and there is a greater risk of sending a shot over the animal's back if you do not keep adjusting your aim and leading a bit, such as aiming between its legs in order to hit the head. Dropping to a kneeling position can eliminate that downward angle adjustment by bringing your handgun closer to the same level as the approaching animal. In that position, you are now shooting straight up the pike without having to adjust. Kneeling is not the best choice in all situations, however. The greatest disadvantage is that you give up some of your ability to move quickly or step aside. Once you are down on one knee, you are not as nimble as you are in the standing position. The ground must also be reasonably clear. Tall grass, brush, rocks, or other obstacles could block your view or interfere with the bullet's path when firing from a lower position. This technique is also less useful when facing an animal that is approximately as tall as you are, such as a moose. In that case, lowering yourself may not provide the same advantage. You could place you in a less mobile position without improving the shooting angle at all. So you may be wondering why I don't add another possible downside to shooting from the kneeling position, that it will take more time. That is because I did not consider it slower. Whenever I've been timed during my proof of proficiency tests, I have consistently completed the kneeling stage in less time than the corresponding stage fired from the standing position. It actually seems to be faster for some reason. So let's look at a demonstration of shooting from the kneeling position to better see what I'm talking about.
Stand by.
So that concludes the demonstrations of both the standing and kneeling techniques. I want to emphasize that what I've shown here is simply what I believe to be the safest and most effective approach for deploying a high-powered handgun for wilderness protection. Others may have different methods, experiences, or opinions, and I'd be interested in hearing them. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, including whether you agree with the advice given or would approach any part of it differently. The important thing is that anyone carrying a handgun for wilderness protection practices regularly, handles it safely, and develops a method that can be performed reliably under stress. If you found this video useful or thought-provoking, please consider clicking the like button. And if you've not already subscribed to the Way to Native Chronicles, I'd be very grateful if you'd do so. Contributions through Super Thanks or Buy Me a Coffee are always appreciated as well. Details on how to support the channel can be found in the video description, and we'll roll a little bit on what kind of products we also have for sale. It all helps us out. So thank you for watching, and God bless. I really appreciate the support so many of you give this channel. It truly gives the opportunity to keep the lights on around here. And let me tell you, in Canada, it's not cheap to live here anymore. If you haven't already, please click like and subscribe. And if you want to go a step further, you can use the Super Thanks button right at the bottom on YouTube. You can also check the description for my Buy Me a Coffee link in the description section. That also includes my store of online digital products in Buy Me a Coffee. And I've also started adding some merchandise to this channel. For example, this Way to Native Chronicles large size coffee mug. Go ahead and buy it. You can see it all listed at the bottom here. So just mean to say every bit of support you can provide helps, but just viewing is also a great way of supporting by itself. Did you like this video? If you did, I think you're gonna like this one right over here. So check it out. And I appreciate your subscribing if you haven't done so already. Remember to do that while you're watching this next video. Click like, it all helps us out for this channel. Catch you next time.